left hand, let me hear only these, you know. By way of analogy. In your practice, a couple of things you can do. Just first of all, maybe let's try it blocked. Lower one voice a bit more, not so much thumb. That make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. So when you actually are playing it, it's not going to sound a whole lot different from that.
Right.
You do something that's a little bit opposite of what your hand wants to do.
Okay.
Which is, it's sad that we're not built like this, doggone
it.
Yeah. Someone goofed. Unless we're playing on those rare pieces where you know we actually have the melody where it belongs.
You're right.
You know, here.
They're right.
Now, the problem is the tendency is to do this. Everybody.
Right.
You know, and get a lot of motion here and be very clean and close to the key here. But if you want to bring out your fifth finger, this is the one that you have to think of as your anchor. Now watch my hand here. The 5 I'm snapping and the 1 that I'm keeping.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
Whole different orientation though to think this way than this. Right. So it's really, do this gesture for me. Just watch what I do first. This is a series of this. Just happen to be going quickly. It's a different orientation up in your brain too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just not again orchestrally. This has no counterpoint.
Right.
Nobody does this. You see, so it's if anything, it's the equivalent of you know. We do a million of those kind of things. Where we're
Right.
like that.
Right.
But we can't write that on piano. Although Schubert tried.
Right.
Remember the drafts on that? He's got, you know, that changes his mind. Oh, you can't play that.
Yeah.
Doggone it.
Yeah.
We got enough evidence of that from the manuscript. We know these guys think orchestrally all over the place, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Together, you see, and you get this very sort of dark, lurking. We're on the wrong side. Okay. So,
but right.
You hear it?
Uh-huh.
As we try to do them evenly. Instantly too heavy.
Right. Oh, definitely.
I'm gonna try it. Let's stop for now. Think gesturally. Listen. And down to here, spidery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do that for me. It's fingers, but look, it's also throw it in. You got 5, 3, 2, 1 on that, I hope.
5, 3, 2, 1.
Much easier. You do 4, 3, 2 only if you really are thinking of connecting to the G. Right? I hold it right to the last minute, but then. The danger of 5 is that you'll let go too soon. I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Yeah, it's what's printed. Yeah, that's fine. From the only disagreement I'd have is on that. Which stretches is the worst possible.
Right.
You know, if you were going to play legato, it wouldn't matter probably. You separation.
Right.
All right. It was always an exaggeration for people to talk about the schnabel as you know, all throwing the hand.
Right.
I hated that term. It's misleading. You know, I told you that story of Shore coming in one day. More fingers! Everybody fainted that away. They had them all pegged. Not playing with fingers. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So. There's just little snippet right here. Watch me. Like this. There's a difference in how this feels. Get your knees up.
Yeah, I know.
Look. Out here. Flat, pointed. And watch. Gesture. Throw. Yeah. I'm being horribly exaggerated. A little dangerous. But you see that this way of a little hint of that here, just so much, you know.
Oh yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not tight. So I have a bowl of that. Now you're good. If you go into the thumb, throw your wrist up. Throw it in, throw it up. Yeah. And now do this much for a minute. Look, there's a little problem getting to the floor. And then 2 gestures. Ah, whoa.
Yeah.
Every so often, you know, you get out of your own way, and it just happens.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Uh-huh.
It's not going to be an overnight thing. You've been clenched jaw for a long time in your life, you know. I was the same. Absolutely the same. I was just always only fingers.
Yeah.
Which is fine, by the way. I mean, people want to give the wrong idea that there's one way to play.
Right. Right.
Just I want you to be able to do everything.
Right. Right.
Depending on the context.
Right. Exactly.
Right, we'll work on that. Now, there's, according to Kenneth Drake and I think Newman as well, Schindler, Beethoven's friend, who's not entirely reliable, however, but I'll just point it out and you mull it over. Okay, well, alternated forte and piano on these parts, so forte and then piano. He says, I should say, that Beethoven actually played it that way.
Yeah.
Don't know. Now, what I've decided to do is only the second time.
Uh-huh.
So I keep it piano that first time, and on 152, well, I don't know, it's not the same.
Right,
the second time that happens in F minor. And then, in other words, the bass one's down here on forte. Now that trill is another controversial point. Newman likes the three note, what I just did. And although it's trendy these days to you know, every 10 or 20 years to revise what you do, according to the latest fashionable musicological fad, in all probability, Beethoven did his trills slightly, and I want to emphasize slightly more often on the principal note than above, in spite of the trend going the other direction.
Right.
Which I don't object to entirely.
Right.
I think what I object to is people just doing always the same thing, no matter what they decide. When it's always the same, it gets boring.
Right.
And it probably doesn't do them homage because I don't think any of them were that uncreative.
Right.
Again, now with that, I think at least in one performance what I did was one time did it on the beat and snappy. And I think I did it as a Baroque the second time, which is hard. I mean, that's definitely tricky on a mono and piano.
Right.
But you know, I wouldn't dictate. Rubinstein does them before the beat. And he does them so well, it's not for me to say they're wrong. You know, I just think they're wonderful. Again, it reverses the inflection. If you do that way.
Right.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
Da-da-da-da, whatever.
Right.
Depending. So just, you think about, here's that dot. Now wait a minute. Remember we were talking about the dot?
Right.
Now look down at 93. You have measure numbers?
Yes.
Look at measure 93. Now, is that staccato? Does he want?
Right.
Now you know that Beethoven made a big deal of wanting a difference between the dot and the wedge.
Right.
Well, I'm still waiting. Supposedly Alfred's in the works. Who is it? I think Ian Hobson is putting out a Beethoven edition. I'll be very intrigued to see what they do with this, because nobody's risen to the challenge of trying to put. Now, here you got Schenker, Dover, all wedges. Am I wrong? Okay. Henley edition, all dots. They've both copped out. Thank you so much, because the handwriting is terrible.
Right.
But we know from his letters that he's pounding that there's a difference.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, you know, even if it's an educated guess, I wish these editors would at least try.
Right. Exactly.
To you know, because I'd love to know myself, is that really a dot or a wedge?
Right.
But it's one or the other in any case, and I think it's more likely that it's an emphasis than necessarily a staccato.
Okay.
Some of those places, we'll do that later.
Okay.
If anything, I think I play those a little longer. Slightly. It sounds weird to go karate chop. Sounds weird to do that. Well, all right, a lot of the same kinds of things. Second movement. Yes, we're just getting started here.
I know.
Big program you want to do. Now, we have an example of Beethoven's pseudo string quartet writing.
Right.
Okay?
I remember.
At least that's my own opinion. Now, your question might be, why didn't he just write a string quartet?
Well,
Can you tell me why? Okay.
there's only 3 parts.
Oh, come on. He's got eventually 4.
Eventually 4.
You know, and an occasional double stop.
Right. Okay.
But basically, you've got 4 parts.
Right. Yeah, you do.
You know, it's certainly. I don't think that would have stopped him.
No, it wouldn't have. Who would have written a string trio?
Why couldn't you write this out for string quartet? There's another more practical reason that you couldn't literally do it, even though you know, I think in your idealized mind you could hear it that way.
Would it be the range?
There you go.
Okay.
That's all it is to me.
Yeah.
Even if you were to transpose this, it would be a little challenging, just the way it's put together. Well, and I think there's another reason too, that by this point, it's getting to be, let's just say, that the ideal string quartet is more balanced between the parts. At least it's evolving.
Right.
I don't want to say it's there yet necessarily, but it's evolving to that point. And not quite so democratic, is it?
Right.
It's a little violin chauvinist pig.
Right.
So, but I think apart from that, it really has that kind of texture. So what's that going to do to how you approach it? If you buy that, and I'm not saying necessarily, it could also very well be that he didn't think of it that way. He accepted this is for piano and it's different,
right?
And I'm all wet.
Right.
I know that.
Well, there's first of all, if you're going to be in a string quartet, there would be no pedal, or there'd be very little.
Yeah. For sonority only, not for overlap.
Right.
Unless you want to get into some very intricate double stops. And then what else will that impact on?
The string quartet with the bowing.
Okay, yeah.
Bottom.
To think of it that way actually makes sense of those weird-looking slurs. That's another factor. How about fingerings?
Organ fingering.
Yeah, there's some pretty sophisticated fingerings
Right.
if you buy into this idea.
Right.
Because you can always fake it with the pedal.
Right.
So also realize about this point, the pedal mechanism is a little clumsy. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't pedal.
Right.
But to do syncopated pedal, first of all, I probably didn't know how to do, legato pedal. And secondly, even if he did, it would have been a little clunky, a little cumbersome. The mechanism is not quite so sophisticated.
Right.
So even if he did pedal, it wouldn't have been as a substitute for a finger legato.
Right.
At least not nearly so much as today.
Right.
So I have somewhere, and I'll give it to you. We'll work some of this out. But maybe you can work some of it out. I mean, you should try to do this yourself. Where I don't always play. Where did I put this? All right, I think it's in the center. Okay. Here it is. Yeah, come see. Here. Virtually everybody who matters agrees that it's 60.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Beethoven, not per se, but Czerny, who studied with Beethoven, and then Moscheles, contemporary, and von Bülow and Schnabel all say 60. Now, I think there may have been a point in Czerny's life earlier. When did I know? In 1842, Czerny was playing it a little slower at 54. He eventually settles into 60, and then everybody else is 60. And I just find it really interesting that there's such an agreement on that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's unusual. You don't usually find...
Right.
So I think if you deviate significantly from that 54 to 60, you do it at your peril.
Right.
That's all I can tell you. So let's see. So you got, Adagio, but moving. Right. That's the problem. You get any slower, and it doesn't have phrases. You get any faster, it's not Adagio. Right. Exactly. So, no pedal. Constrictive, but you see, being an organist, you should have a little bit of advantage. 2 slide 1. Right. Also having a big hand, thank God. That will allow you little spurts of pedal if I found you absolutely. Well, not here, he's got a little. So, if you want to steal some of these, you can. Okay. I'm thinking maybe it's better if I don't give it to you.
Right.
I don't know.
You
get the idea, you
right.
get the gist. Maybe you should work after. You may come up with some better ones.
Right.
I'd like to see what you come up with.
Okay.
I had a lot of 4 slide 5 slide 4. Here. Now. Notice how that E flat always seems to not be at the, it's never at the end of a slur. It's in the middle or at the beginning of a slur. I think that's interesting. It's like that dominant is generating euphoria. It's very treacherous. Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Right. You hear what's wrong with all that?
Right, yeah.
And so, I mean, it's interesting how at pains Beethoven goes to make sure you don't do that, but nobody knows how to read those slurs. So, keep going. He doesn't allow you to relax.
Right.
Not here either. Sort of.
Interesting. Remember on the first movement, we're talking about no dots and no difference between dots and wedges, and that in this edition. But now in this edition, I do.
No way. Well, for the quartet.
Oh, for the okay.
Yeah, only for quartet.
That's right. That's right.
But I mean, he's got just the staccato.
Right.
Right. And then so does Henry. But they put all dots.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You got me all excited.
Yeah. Sorry.
But you see my point about the phrasing.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to settle in this afternoon the big controversy about whether you actually make a physical break between the slurs.
Right.
Okay. If it's a string bowing of a sort, then it's going to be a subtle inflection. Liszt would say accented, and that's a little overstated. Oh boy, that's dangerous. Could be that. It could be a very, very hairline so slight you barely hear it, maybe. All right. And then you get those who, and I think both John Perry and Shore do this. Do the gesture, but pedal through it a little.
Right, right.
It's very interesting. And, there is a reason. I mean, it seems so oxymoronic.
No.
But there's a because, well, why?
Well,
What would be the reason for doing this? What gets accomplished by my getting my
separation.
No, because I'm pedaling through it.
No, but the separation from the keyboard in the beginning.
Right. But what does that accomplish? Tend to accomplish. It doesn't have to, but it tends to physically. If I have to make this movement,
if you go up, you've got to come down. You come down
and I'm more likely to get a little emphasis on the next note than if I'm hanging on the piano. I think that's what it has to do with. Remember, it reminds me of that day when Shore just suddenly did this big theatrical, and of course Schnabel supposedly didn't do those kind of things. I interrupted him in the middle of Brahms' concerto in the lesson. I said, "What was that for?" And he took it very well. I said, "Well, I'm conducting." I mean, the context, if I could find it, made perfect sense. It just, there was in fact a reason for all it. It seemed like a silly extraneous motion. So, it's both I think a visual, but it does, it makes a certain kind of sense. I'm not insisting that's the only way to do it.
Right.
I mean, it's great controversy with these slurs.
Right.
But I think the one thing you can agree is that dominant doesn't seem to finish. It's like you're going, even the second phrase, look, he doesn't let you stop here. Common thread. So much of classic romantic writing. I mean, oh gosh. Something so simple as that.
Yeah.
It doesn't do.
Right.
I guess where the only authentic slur is. Starting on this D. All over the place. It's amazing how consistent the slurs, assuming you have a good edition, the slurs are. It's like, good phrasing is good phrasing.
Right.
It doesn't matter what style it's in or who's writing it, it seems like. They just all know how a good singer would do these things, So, or Brahms, Am I in the right register? Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's here. So, what does he do with the first draft? I told you this one. He's got to there, and then a new slur, and then he crosses it out. It's one of those rare cases where you can actually see his thought process, and changes it to, strangely enough, to here, and a new slur now. And I don't think he means this.
Right.
Not anything so crass. And it's like he just knows that this is a balance point from which you must go on, or else it's going to fragment.
Right.
He knows. He just knows where pianists are going to take rotten breaths. See, it's long lines. So here. Anyway, so that's according to Schindler, I believe. And you know, I wonder about this because he claims that Beethoven went a little faster at measure 37, slightly faster. And I don't know, however, if that was literally the case or it just sounds like it gets faster. Just because, you know, so you're... Supposedly, an eyewitness account says he went a little faster, but it may have been just perceived as fast because now you have triplets.
Right, right.
And I can tell you, you're going to have a real hard time with that because controlled. Just that is hard. Here just barely re-articulated, like you've got a little Zen-like control. Look at me up here. Now follow this. Instead of thinking up and coming down occasionally, I'm down here all the time and I'm occasionally making a visit upstairs.
Right.
It's the other way. Watch me. So I've got this all heavy weight down here. If you you're basically living down here. See that you get better control too. Almost continuous sound. Almost as though you were pedaling it. I could almost convince you this is pedal. I use soft pedal. The piano is making it hard. I mean, it's not. Action is not as regulated as it could be, but still. And then somehow this on another level, and yet all in the same hand. It's just You're going to get your organ work out.
Right, right, right.
No bumps, no creases, no interruptions, just still. And then the cello comes in. This gorgeous counterline. If that's not cello,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I give up. Now here I might see those as interesting that he doesn't do. I think those are upbeat. So.
I'm sorry, yeah.
The smoke clears. It's a little more sophisticated than you may think. It's not just pedal all the way down and slowly taper.
Right.
There's a quick, almost complete but not quite complete lift.
Right, right.
Right after the striking, to let most of the smoke go away fast, and then the remaining is wisping away. So get the forte piano in. You don't have to like it.
No, I like it.
I can't believe he would have thought. I mean, this is completely my own.
Yes. No,
but I think it makes it wonderful. You know, you get all the drama.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's just slowly clears. It's just a lovely effect. I like it. I almost hate to I mean, if you like this, it's just a hell of a lot of work. I mean, if you're inspired enough by a sound, you'll fight for it. If you're not, then, well, you know, so don't do it.
No, definitely.
And then the hardest part of this is going to be when you've got all four voices, because I want to hear very clearly. And do you hear the third triplet note as an upbeat or not an upbeat? It's very important that you figure this out for yourself. I'm not saying which way you should do, but is it as an upbeat or part of the triplet? Do you see the slight difference in inflection?
I do.
And they're both overstated, but that's
right.
something you want to make up your mind which way it is. Play it around in your head a whole bunch of times, and then try it both ways and see which way you like. But in any case, I do not want to hear. That is the one option that is not an option. It just ain't what he wrote. You hear it all the time. But getting all that control and all voiced the way you want it, whatever you decide. And again, with fingers here. I'm doing this all over the place, the nervous coffee pedaling. You know, I'm not on coffee anymore. But I'm not doing it to connect anything. It's just very, very little. You'll get everything if you hear it that way.
Yep.
And then you see, if you're very discreet about pedaling, you can be very effective with it. You can get the equivalent of a vibrato.
Right.
So now I think that E flat, that dominant E flat recurring, the opening is so special. So if you say it yourself. A little bit on that. I'm not sure it gets heard in this acoustic, but in the right kind of acoustics, that may be very special.
Right.
And even if you did maybe through a few, at least you wouldn't be doing it all over the place.
Right, exactly.
Even that, I mean, I'm not sure. I guess I like that idea that there's actually a violist or something doing that melodically. It's not just a piano harmony thing.
Right.
Might, you know, for me anyway, that's more effective. These are probably on the beat at 70, right? But realize it's so slightly different from. I mean, I almost don't care when I know pieces like that. But it's probably here with the G and the bass. You hear all the little articulation there? Time a little bit. More. Most. sforzando. Which is what's the difference, by the way? I might have played it wrong just now. You bring up an interesting point. What does sforzando mean?
So yeah.
Reinforced.
Reinforced.
Thing. Double check that on me, but it has more to do with the entire unit and less to do with just that one note.
Okay. So
I might have been playing this somewhat wrong. Now that you mention it, I'm glad you pointed that out. Maybe it's more. Well, in other words, it's not quite so localized.
Right.
On the other hand,
exactly.
if it's just all over the place, then you'd be doing. That doesn't seem to make sense either. Why not just write a forte? So maybe it isn't. Very bad. I don't think I was doing it wrong.
No, no.
It's amazing what a little common sense will do. That when you have a series of broken chords with individual slurs, that often, not always, and it's kind of a judgment call, that's a special way of indicating harmonic legato, overhauling of notes. You know, it makes sense of a lot of things now that I stumbled on it the other day.
Yeah.
Though I wouldn't want to apply it everywhere. You know, it's a judgment. But she says as late as Brahms. At least in one instance, she believes he wrote harmonic legato by indicating those separate slurs. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I think you have to look at the style of the tempo, all kinds of things, really. And I really am not offended by hearing. You know, I don't think that's something I wouldn't mind. I'm just saying it's a theory, and certainly Kenneth Drake anyway. Different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So. Because you're going to slur in the right hand but not the left. Voice, so. There it is. I can sort this all out. I'm not demonstrating terribly well. And the little grace notes here, according to Drake, are before the beat now. I haven't figured out just why. But you know, really, at this tempo, the difference between that and...
Right.
Here, take this here, split it.
Yeah.
I try not to think too hard on that. That definitely on the beat, though. I really don't like hearing it. Right. It sounds so nervous. But with a little inflection on the first. So you hear that. See, a syncope will not be heard as a syncope.
Right.
If it doesn't have this counterbalance, you might say that subtle inflection in the bass that gets that heard as an offbeat. Right? I'm probably overdoing it.
That's okay. That's okay.
You see?
Right.
And you know, I'm wondering about that whole passage that he was supposed to have been inventor of the super legato.
Right.
Super legato. Well, you know, that's reputed, reportedly, you know, he did this a lot. I mean, he didn't always notate. Of course, it's also an overall tradition, so I don't know about that. I like that more than, you know. Right. Well, that's personal, and maybe I, you know, I deliberately played the other way badly, so I'm stacking the deck here. Okay. I think enough on that. Let's see now. You're doing Schubert? Or do you want to do the Chopin first?
Let's do the Chopin first.
Chopin? Okay.
Yeah. I have the Henley.
Okay. Well, I've got Mikuli.
All right.
Mikuli.
Mikuli.
It's like Michelob. Hypnotized and lost in I know. But you see what I'm saying? You're losing a thread here.
Okay.
Now, maestoso, and I'm at fault partly, because I'm the one arranging this, don't go too fast.
Yeah, right.
But you see, 1, 2, takes over the sound.
Right.
But I believe that that's within the color of the E flat.
Okay.
So that you hold it through. Now let me imagine. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right,
There's a difference between this and what you're doing is you're wrenching me out of this E flat orbit and saying, no, now it's A flat.
Right,
and now we'll go back to our program later when you've forgotten where we came from and whatever. You see why the structure, the form is so terribly important. In everything. I mean, your tempo, your inflections. I mean, if you lose sight, and all the great composers, I'm convinced, taught this way and thought this way. Their writing and their teaching reflects understanding of what's there on the page.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So you're getting very musical and very lost in little moments.
Right.
And missing the big picture a little bit.
Right.
You see.
Okay. So if I
now do just this for me. Now listen. See, that's one. It's in this E flat. You see. See, the A flat can be as much as you want, as long as it doesn't quite exceed the E flat.
right.
You understand the reason?
No, I'll go ahead and keep that.
Oh, right. We don't have another tape here.
That's okay. That's
All
okay.
right, okay, well, I'll sit. That's okay. You get my drift, though.
Right. Right. No, I do.
So I think that those arrival points. Maybe a hair here, a little bit here. They're just a little longer than you expect, and then this long one. But it's like he's, his pedaling is ingenious. He knows the form. I mean, he's trying to tell you this.
Right.
You see?
Right.
I mean, it's really interesting.
Right.
Let's try it from the beginning again. Do you mind if I play along?
No.
Sort of pull you into the current a little bit.
That's good.
Again, we all blow off left hand.
Right.
You know, so. I'm not always bringing out the bottom one.
Right.
Of the octave, if you notice.
Right.
Maybe here, for richness, but then. Tried to play this 100 times and it's never come out quite what I want. See how that belongs? You can get fooled by the accent and then you get it. Right. Now that's personal, but I think it's just some. You see back to the bass. The E flat hasn't left. You just think it's not there, right? Don't let what I said about the tempo, that yes, most recordings are a little too fast.
Right.
And that he himself, Chopin, made a big beef about people playing his polonaises too fast. And there's something ironic in what I'm telling you today, in that he did, Chopin, stipulate that you should feel it in eighths, not quarters.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet with a sense of line, so this,
yeah.
I mean, if you push that too far, then
right.
I'm not sure I like that either.
Right.
But I think the reason he said that was simply to get people not playing quite so fast.
Right.
Then on the other hand, the tempos were much faster in those days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And then of course you're dealing with the difference in the piano.
Right. Right.
And then he really, he did not play people wailing through this terribly loud. It's just such a if you focus on the top voice.
Yeah.
I don't mean loud, I'm just saying, make sure they're all present. You are pointing the fingers, I hope, on the black keys. Can we interrupt for a minute? What the hell is that thing? So then the accents make sense. It's all the same thing happening. That shouldn't interrupt it. You had them written somewhere else?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, there. You'll need to copy those eventually
into my book. Yeah. Right. Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to make sure we had some of those. It's hard to get the grayscale to actually get heard.
Right.
See, another reason why not slam dunk the bass.
Right. Right.
So if you're really voicing, you'll hear it all.
Now, what I've done here is do a hand motion.
Oh yeah.
Because before I had been trying to go out.
If you're cranked.
Or no, I can't even do it right. I can't do it wrong anymore.
Absolutely right to do that. Stop it. You wouldn't even hurt to do maybe a few exercises like that. Hold on 1 and 2 while you're doing it. It's kind of wicked. Don't do too much of it. Just now and then, do that about 20 times. It doesn't hurt. Well, it will hurt a little. How are the octaves in the left hand coming? Can I hear a little bit of that?
Sure.
And yet sotto voce. Do use a soft pedal. Gosh, you need it. Watch your hands. Key tickling. This.
Not good.
Well, I mean, look at how much control do you get when you just kind of tickle the keys like this. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting out. No matter how soft you play, you want to have a quick. Remember, the softer you play, the quicker your motion has to be to control it. Look at my finger for a minute here. I know what. You know exactly what sound you're going to get. It goes to the bottom of the key always, never halfway. That's takes me a little. And it takes tremendous presence up here.
Right.
It's the concentration right here as much as anything.
But if I think about it, I think I know why I do the tickling like that is because somebody taught me that instead, so I didn't tighten up.
Yeah,
so I don't have. I don't.
There's a way. There's a way to have that presence without necessarily being a vice.
Exactly.
I think you can have it both ways.
I agree.
I don't agree that you have to play the surfacey touch in order to be relaxed.
I agree. I agree.
Even if you, even if that were true, I'd say the sound is no good. I mean, it's just
right.
It's not there. You want a presence on every single note.
Right.
Exactly. And I have a hard time. I mean, it's not an easy thing.
No.
And yet you have to make it sound as though you were playing it. Adagio tells a story years ago. Somebody famous, but he never told who, had recorded it that way with two hands and then overdubbed the right hand. Cheating, wrong.
Yeah.
No can do. The point he was making that anybody can make a recording, and if you edit enough.
Does this have an editing
Now.
Yeah,
Okay. So now we talked about the Polonaise rhythm.
Da-da-dum-bum.
Yeah, that it's not quite what's there, and yet it's not quite a dotted eighth in
Right.
30 seconds. So. Not quite. Let's see.
It's not.
Right. It's too tight, but it's not. That's on the beat, but then I realized the other day that when you have what looks like a grace note and it's the same note, like, you know, I don't have the notches with me. You know, in the E minor when you have you don't do
right.
You don't do it on the beat.
Right.
When it's the same note.
Right.
You do it before the beat.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, since it is the same, although displaced by an octave, is that before or on the beat? But to do it before the beat, right. You hear it all the time. Right. I think I would still do it on the beat. It's the next one I'm wondering
I'm not sure about the D flat. I really don't.
Yeah, again, because I think because of what precedes it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't he have that kind of thing in one of his other polonaises?
Yeah.
All right, what about the canon section? And I don't mean in a musical sense. I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
I think it's Liz, too. Is that what I said? Yeah, I think it's Liz, to claim that this is a muffled canon. All those pedal parts.
Of course, the accents. Because it's dum dum. It's just like the thing in the bell.
Again, that bass defining the structure, you know. So what about this section? Can I hear a little bit?
This to me is the hardest part of the whole piece.
it's like you're decrescendoing with your pedal, but crescendoing with your E flats.
Right.
But now you're doing syncopated pedal. The up on the third one. Always coming down with the pedal with your. Okay, now go all the way to. And there. Where the divisions really are. Sensuous.
Yeah.
If you've been withholding the pedal. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to here again. You want me to get that picture?
Oh, sure, sure.
Go on. I'll go with the left hand.
I think I usually always
Yeah. You're getting lost in notes. Now make this one. Remember, it wants to go all the way to here.
Okay.
You're rising above the level that you established, and then you lose your D thread. It's the same issue as the beginning. You see, listen, if I do this,
Right. It's gone. It's gone.
you hear it? So,
Yeah.
Right. I just simply take over the sound of that D from the one before.
Right.
So simple. So it all sounds like.
But the sforzando down here comes in louder though.
As much as you feel you can get away with, yeah. What regulates so much of the timing is not what you think. It is not.
Right.
For example, because I'm thinking, how much do I want to kill this before it finally...
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So don't, let your pace regulate. Same thing there. Did you see why Chopin writes, why is he double doing that? It isn't just to hold it down. The natural, the thread continues on to be flat.
Right.
There's a reason for that accent.
Right.
Melody within a melody.
Right.
Very Bach. Gee, I wonder where he got it. As they say, he loves Bach. Well, okay. Well, I think it's coming along.
Good.
I think at this point maybe you have to pull it back the other way and
And-
allow yourself a little faster.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Or any tempo, but just less beatiness.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
And yet you hear this within, I mean, this is the paradox, I mean, there's a contradiction. I mean, that you know, you want to hear a sense of the stately footsteps for every eighth, and yet they're not, all the footsteps aren't created equal,
Right.
otherwise you're going to sound awfully plotty.
Right. 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 Right.
You see, here's another contradiction. Okay, there's that account of him railing against somebody playing the octaves too bombastic and too fast, and too virtuose, and the tempo being too fast. Yet, the only 2 or 3 authentic metronome markings for polonaises feel awfully fast to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a bundle of contradictions.
Uh-huh.
You know,
How fast were they really going then?
Well, you know, I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And now, the other thought, of course, is that the authentic markings are early in his life. And then he stops writing markings. And I mean, I told you that theory, that I think part of the reason why he stops writing around 1836, I mean, he was consistently writing the measure markings and then he stops, is that I think he was trying to allow for slower time, because his markings are always on the fast side, almost always on the fastish side.
Right.
So if you've been marking these terribly fast markings, then you stop doing so, where do you have to go?
Right.
Did he really think faster, and that's why he stopped writing them? That doesn't seem very plausible, if any, you know.
Right.
So it's also possible that his later Polonaises are a bit slower than his earlier ones. I don't know, but it's at least suggestive evidence anyway to that effect. Well, let's move along.
Okay.
What have we got next? A little bit on the Schubert, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how we can do only a little on such a piece.
Yeah,
We'll
Schubert.
break some ice anyway. Where's my cup?
I see.
Yeah, I had this one. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Okay. Oh. I'll put on the fingers.
First or second?
Let's start with the second. First is hellish.
Okay.
Of course, this is a great tie-in. This piece in the Pathetique, you realize.
Oh yeah, I know.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Very suspicious. Speaking of scales.
Uh-huh. Maybe the writing, and of course I don't know this that well, but just looking at it, is there any similarities to the?
Quite possible.
Because there are a lot of just the.
Didn't catch that. You'll have to point that out to me where we get. Some, yeah. Now where do you get this movement? Where do you steal that? Get to Beethoven.
Okay.
Volume 1. Opus 10.
Oh, the C minor.
Opus 10, number 1, C minor. Yeah, same key even. And the same key scheme. Second movement being an A flat. Very suspicious. And look how Beethoven can't let you relax on that A flat on the second.
Right.
Same issue as before we were talking, right? Anyway, you play it, but you see again the long line? Let's think of 16ths even when there are, let me do it way through this one. Go ahead. Pretty eerie. Pretty eerie. Now that's interesting. Now wait. Now hold on a second. That Pathetique second movement is marked what tempo?
Adagio. And also.
Oh really?
And the Adagio that you have for the C minor in here, 60.
Right. Well, now see this. All right. Now I think I've got a little foundation for saying what I was going to say intuitively, which was that I think you were too slow.
Too slow.
I mean, his Adagio those days was not quite as slow as we would play Adagio. I mean, you do hear it a lot these days. No, I mean, I don't mean to sound too pedantic. I mean, on a modern piano, you know, one thing that I think does distinguish great artists is that they can. I mean, you know, Leonard Cho can make the slowest tempo in the universe and somehow make lines out of it.
Right.
That takes incredible artistry, I think.
Right.
So, not for me to say that somebody can't do it faster than 60. I mean, slower than 60.
Right.
And still make it Adagio and still sing and make long lines and everything.
Right. Right.
But in those days, it would probably have been unheard of to go quite that.
Right.
You know, the tone would not have sustained that long in those pianos. So. Yep. He took 2 second movements and just stuck them together. I mean, good Lord. Wow. We talk modeling here. Woo! Fun.
Yeah.
Well, now I know where he got.
Fascinating. I never made that connection.
Wow.
That comes from the Pathetique, that little developmental. And there's definitely an affinity now. I mean, I'm getting these connections between the movements a little bit. Cool. Yeah. Well, I think 60.
60
works.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it worked for the Pathetique, it was good enough for that.
Yeah,
good enough for this.
Good enough for this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thereabouts,
Right.
obviously, but you'll get lines that way.
Right.
Deep
Wow.
piece. Deep piece.
I like it.
So do you understand the why?
Oh,
The
definitely.
minimum you need for some sort of gesture, otherwise, I mean, this can't stand alone.
Right.
So. Or that's not the way I've been playing it, but it just occurs to me that it could be.
Yeah.
What if it's by the bar? Instead of a feeling of that division and then the subtle upbeat on the staccatos, I don't know now.
Would you ever crescendo on the staccatos into the sforzando?
That's what I was doing the first time.
The first time.
That's a feeling of upbeat.
Yeah,
So,
right. But now that's too. I mean, that's way too unsubtle. Right.
Even if I wanted that's way too much. But it's either that or. Keep those together and then breathe. But never, never that, and never completely. It's just to give it some color, but not, a substitute for your fingers. It's hard though. One thing that's a problem with the pedal is if you do square pedals, so just definite ups and downs, then you get these little hiccups all over the place.
Right.
A lot of this, and the idea is you. Explain what I'm doing here. I'm not quite connecting.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite doing it. If I don't do a little pedal, then I'm going to get this. Right. Replacing it. So. the same thing too.
Uh-huh.
You have to decide which hand. Oh, funny. Okay, you haven't had time to look at it.
No, I
haven't
haven't.
really.
No, I haven't.
Okay, this is just so you have some idea. But now, when you get to the last section, the last return of the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, he stole this too. Come on, which one is it? Where Beethoven has staccatos in the left hand,
Yeah.
but doesn't want you to get it through pedaling, obviously. You know.
You're right.
There's another sonata that does. I'm not sure it's in this volume. Gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. You know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember.
You check it out. Check it out. You'll find it. You'll find it.
Yeah.
There's yet another Beethoven sonata that does this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's got the same technical challenges. Now, my question is, where do you want to put the rolls? Is it or even? Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends also how fast you do it. I mean, if you're doing it on the slowish side, it'll make a difference. If you do it fast, it's not going to make that much difference.
Right.
Oops, that's not roll, sorry. Sequence at the end. Look what we got here. Let's see. Well, it really even started here, but play with me. I mean, I almost feel like I could do that. It's incredible. Minuet is the most his own, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And then, of course.
Well, yeah. You know, it's funny, that minuet is expendable. In a way, I mean, you could have left that out and still have it be. And then, is this part of it? Or is it enough? Let's see. Or is it? Could be either. So evocative. Of course, I don't know about these, you know.
Right.
Now, before I forget, there's several places where it might behoove you in the right hand to put your big clunker thumb to great advantage. the very peak of this is where you're trying to play up here.
Yeah.
Isn't that awful? Slide this. 3-1, slide 3. Throw it. Look at me. Watch my hand. Yeah, and then slide to 3 once you get there. Right? Well, it's 3-1, not 1-3.
Right.
And then slide to 3. And then. Let me see. 2 stays pointed on B flat. Don't curve it. Don't curve it. I know, heretic. Sometimes you don't curve fingers. Live with it. Deal with it. Get therapy. Most of the time we do, but once in a while we don't.
It's fun, more comfortable. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Right,
Very hard to do the slight detachment. This part too. Hear that?
Is that the tempo that this is taking on it?
And yet not overdone so that it's flavored. Just free as, light and airy, and yet like it's unaffected. It's exhausting. This is not really orchestra. If anything,
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then good luck on your triple pianos.
Yeah.
I think you need to maybe borrow this score at some point when you're here and have some time. jot in some of the fingerings. You don't obviously have to do them all, but spent a lot of time working out some of these. You may,
you have a lot of them in here.
I have some of them in there. I have more here.
I have this book.
And then you see, this is so hard on modern piano. If you don't stay very, very close to the key and very, very controlled.
Right.
This at best, I don't care how relaxed you are. I mean, it's going to be still a little bit. Because it can just get out of control in terms of just sheer sound.
Right.
It's piano. This is a long-term project.
Yes, yes.
You do understand?
Yeah, I do.
You won't get this all at once. And then when you have the B major scale at 300 or so, you have that, the measure numbers. Fingers. If ever you wanted fingers, now it's the time. Yeah, throw it from here. I remember.
Right.
What was his name?
Yes, same reverse.
From here. It's what Leonard Schubert calls throwing a finger, but I never could figure out how he explained it.
Right.
What the heck that meant.
Right.
But it's from here. And I was trying to do it like a jackhammer for the longest time from back here. So and it doesn't work. I mean, it really is. Right. It's a perfect scale to practice it on. Chopin would be proud. It's a major scale. It's a tarantula.
Yeah.
I mean a tarantella.
A tarantella.
Tarantella. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Well, good start.
Yeah. Nice.
Esperantamento.
Yeah, thank you.
It's an ambitious program. Looking forward to it. Progressing. We got the Schubert Opus 19.
Schubert
as well.
Yes, and Ravel. I have the. See, I've done the sad birds from Miroirs.
Oh,
Ravel. So I've done that before, and I did that halfway on my own.
Have you listened to Ravel's recording?
No, I didn't.
No, I haven't. The opening part. He doesn't keep the time.
Really?
No, he doesn't. See, I was looking at that and I thought, some instinctive part of me thought that it's not that important where you put the left hand and the right hand, you know, that it's just close to this, you know. Yeah. But of course, a good classical teacher will No, it's not an accident, because it's like 4, 5, 6 times that he's not quite exactly what's notated. Now, after that first section, he's quite religious with how it's notated. But that whole first part is very free, it's very improvisatory. You'd never know it unless you heard his own recording. And that's the one thing that I don't think the piano roll can lie about.
Oh, no.
I mean, think about it. I don't think you can.
No.
So, I mean, if you have an extra 1, 2 few or something, it's really not going to be the end of the world. Except with a terribly fussy classical. What was also surprising to me is, well, he's much better composer than pianist. Just in general, it's not good in many ways. But he doesn't pedal as much as I would have thought either.
Really? Really?
Doesn't seem to pedal what his notation shows. But now that's something I'm wondering if the technology, may be lying somehow. I'm not sure that is accurately represented in that piano roll recording. But anyway, it's worth listening to. I have it in my office sometime. We can
I always have to wonder though. I mean, it seems to me like
American pianists, no matter who, always overpedal what the composer usually.
Well, I think, though, it's fair to say that certainly Debussy pedaled immensely in his piano rolls.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to make too much of a sweeping generalization out of that one recording with Ravel.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And also, he probably did not have the middle pedal to even mess with.
That's true.
I'll bet he would have jumped all over it if he had.
Right.
So no, I think we shouldn't necessarily go too much. It was just a little bit surprising, that's all. But then I don't particularly like his playing all that much anyhow.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I'll bet he himself would have admitted that other people could play his music better than he.
Yeah.
Debussy gets mixed reviews. Prokofiev was a mean pianist, however. He certainly played his own pieces wonderfully. But they don't always, they're not always as good pianists as they are composers.
No,
They can't do everything. Well, he was phenomenal in certain ways.
Yeah.
Bartok, I think, could well.
Yeah.
But there too. Not sure I want to always play Bartok the way he plays it.
Right.
That sounds funny to say.
Right.
Right? Well, the same thing with Prokofiev.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And the Schoenberg, boy, stop studying that. That's not an easy piece, even though it looks like it.
Well, it looks lean, but just because it's lean doesn't mean it's
It's got a lot of meat on it.
Right.
If it is lean.
right. No, I know.
It's quite